Good morning. Good. My name is Mandy Winders, and I'm a member of this congregation. On behalf of Reverend Dunn, our music director, Alex Peach, my fellow worship associates, and our dedicated technical team that is making today's live broadcast possible, I'd like to welcome you to the Unitarian Universalist, Metro Atlanta North congregation, which we lovingly call UUMAN. UUMAN is a liberal faith community with a mission to nurture our spirit, strive for justice, and transform the world. No matter who you are, who you love, or where you are on your spiritual journey, you are welcome here. For those of you attending remotely, coffee and conversation will be held directly after the service, and the link can be found on our homepage at uman.org. The Transgender Inclusion and Congregations class with Reverend Dave will be held in Discovery Hall Youth Group Room today. Soon, Susie will be printing up announcements, which will be placed in the foyer for you to pick up on the days of the service. That means that should you wish for an announcement to be made to the community, it should be sent to Susie no later than on Wednesday before the service. If anyone in the sanctuary has difficulty hearing the service, we do have headsets available using our hearing loop system, and it will also work with your T-coil-enabled hearing aids. If you have any questions, see someone on the tech team.
Good morning. Today's call to worship is written by Evan Carville-Zemer. And although it's frigid outside this morning, our souls speak spring. If we lived in another climate, our souls might speak other languages. We might speak oasis or permafrost, dry season or monsoon. But our souls speak spring. Our souls speak green shoots pushing through last year's leaves. Our souls speak flower buds stretching to the sun. Our souls speak mud puddles and nest building, damp earth, warm worm castings, tiny green leaves, and frog choruses. We speak spring because spring speaks in us. We gather to nurture our faith in our growing, our own courage to push through, our own blossoming in beauty, our own small part in the spring of this world. And now let us light our chalice together.
May this flame, symbol of our transformation since time began, fire our curiosity, strengthen our wills, and sustain our courage as we seek what is good within and around us. Now is the time of the service when the love that binds us together is spoken aloud. Within the loving community of this congregation, we take time to share with one another our joys and sorrows. If you are so moved, please feel free to come forward, drop a pebble in the bowl, and while wearing your mask, express a joy or sorrow that you may have. For those of you attending via our live stream, if you have a joy or sorrow you would like to share, you may type it into the chat.
Hi, It's so good to be here. I just wanted to say I'm really, really thrilled to see you all and be here in person. It's been a really long time since I've seen most of you. So, hello, UUMAN family.
Sorry. Carol and Lee, we haven't been here a long time either, but just want to a sorrow for Mark's sister-in-law, my sister-in-law, who passed away a week ago. She'd been sick a really long time. But her husband, my brother-in-law, has been with her for 50 years. They did everything together, and she was always reliant on him, so he's been her caregiver, and he doesn't know what to do with himself now. And it wasn't COVID-related, so just wanted to put that out there, too.
Tanya and I want everybody to know that Veronica's home, resting comfortably, and Tanya wants to thank everybody who's reached out to her with their words of encouragement. Thank you.
I'll drop a final pebble for the joys and sorrows too tender to escape the folds of our heart, and may we keep one another in our hearts in the week ahead.
He could be killed by neither human or animal, neither indoors or outdoors, neither during the day or at night, neither by a handheld weapon or by a projectile. He could be killed neither on land, water, or in the air. Such was the protection given to King Hiranyakashipu, a protection granted by none other than Lord Brahma himself, one of the three great gods of Hinduism. But what Lord Brahma did not know was that King Hiranyakashipu had less than noble intentions. He was consumed with rage and intent on gaining revenge. From who? None other than Lord Vishnu himself, one of the other three principal gods of Hinduism. Years earlier, the king's brother, Hiranyaksha, attacked the defenseless Mother Earth and attempted to drown her in a cosmic ocean. And if he were to be successful, it would mean the end of all of humanity, all of animals that lived on land, and all plant life. Fortunately, the gods persuaded Lord Vishnu to intervene. And intervene he did. And he killed Hiranyaksha and saved Mother Earth, thereby saving us, all animal and plant life on land. But for killing his brother, King Hiranyakashipu now burned with hatred and rage for Lord Vishnu. And he began hatching a nefarious plan for revenge. To challenge Lord Vishnu, he knew that he needed to be immortal. To obtain such a gift, the king feigned allegiance to Lord Brahma and did a great penance for him, a penance that involved several austerities and prolonged periods of self-isolation. After the penance, Lord Brahma was impressed with the king, and he gave him a gift. It wasn't quite immortality, but the king thought it was good enough. Again, he could be killed, neither by human or animal, neither indoors or outdoors, during the day or during the night, not by a handheld weapon or a projectile, not on land, water, or in the air. Yet while he was away in isolation when he was doing his penance for Lord Brahma, usurpers tried to attack his throne and his family. Fortunately, the divine sage Narada intervened and protected the kingdom and the king's sinless and expecting wife, Kayadu. As the sage Narada comforts and instructs Kayadu, her unborn child still in the womb receives Narada's wisdom. When the child is born, a son named Pralada, he grows into a wise devotee of none other than Lord Vishnu, his father's nemesis. Lord Vishnu? This simply will not do.
I have a ritual, and it's Saturday morning. I get up, make myself a cup of coffee, put a breakfast burrito in the microwave, plant-based breakfast burrito in the microwave, and sit down and watch Motor Week on PBS. Been doing it since it's been on for 35 years, except for this month, because it's Pledge Month, which means no Motor Week. But the good news is, if we contribute to my local PBS station at a certain level, I will get a coffee mug. And if I increase it, I can get all of a set of DVDs of a particular show if I give a little bit more every month. And if I give a little bit more than that, I can get all of the above, and they'll put it in a fancy tote bag for me. The more I give, the more I get. And it's a pretty good model. So beginning this next year, depending on how much money you give, will depend what you get back. If you give $39.95 a month to UUMAN, you will be allowed to come in here and come to service on Sunday morning. If you give $49.95 a month, Reverend Dave will be available to you if you have an emergency and need a phone call from him for pastoral care. $59.95 a month allows you to actually listen to Alex's music as he plays interludes between songs. We don't work like that. We are different. Your pledge, regardless if it's $100 a year or $10,000 a year, is held in the same esteem, is as sacred to this body as anything else. There are people who believe that I shouldn't pledge because I just can't give enough, and my pledge doesn't matter, and so I won't give. That's not true. We need and want you to be a part of who we are. So regardless of what you give, regardless of what you can afford, regardless of where you are, We want you to be a part. We want you to be a piece of this. All the coffee mugs look the same. They're white, they're about this big. They need to be bigger, in my opinion, but that's for a whole nother thing. And you can sit anywhere you want. And you can call for help anytime you want. Because here you are welcome no matter how much you give. And for those who have turned in your pledge forms, and a lot of you have, thank you very, very much. For those of you who have not, continue to watch your emails. If you need help, reach out to me. I'm happy to help you fill out pledge forms. I have done it for people already. And remember what we're about. We're about all of us sitting here together. We're about all of us holding each other up. We're about all of us supporting our staff, supporting each other, supporting this community inside these walls and outside this door. Thank you, and bless you all for what you've given. Thank you.
Thank you, Randy. Thank you, Alex. The king's son, Pralada, a devotee of Lord Vishnu? This simply will not do. King Hiranyakashipu, who now believed himself to be kind of invincible, even godlike, began to do everything in his power to eliminate his Vishnu-loving son. He first tried to poison him, yet the boy somehow lived. He had him trampled by elephants, yet the boy survived. He locked him in a room with venomous snakes. The snakes simply lied down on the ground and made a bed for the boy to lie on. His ego, the king's ego, he didn't recognize that Lord Vishnu was protecting his son. Finally, as dusk approached one day, the increasingly frustrated and angry king enrolled the aid of his sister Holika in an effort to kill his son Pralada once and for all. Holika had a special protective blanket that she could wear. When wearing it, it made her impervious to fire, and she had an idea. She told her brother, hey, I will hold Pralada in my arms and sit on this pyre of wood, and when I'm so situated, you can light that on fire, and that will be the end of Pralada, because I will hold him fast. They liked the idea. Holika grabbed Pralada, sat on the pyre of wood. The king lit the pyre, and as the first wafts of flame and smoke arose, it blew the blanket off of Holika and onto Pralada. Holika perished in the fire. Pralada survived. In his pillared temple, King Hiranyakashipu then says to his son, "O most unfortunate Pralada, you have always described the supreme being other than me, a supreme being who is above everything, who is the controller of everyone, and who is all-pervading. But where is he? If he's everywhere, then why is he not present before me in this pillar?" And Pralada responds, "He was, he is, and he will be." The king then loses his composure and smashes the pillar before him, and out of the rubble of the pillar appears a three-eyed, part man, part lion avatar of Lord Vishnu named Narasimha. And Narasimha picks up the king, carries him to the threshold of the courtyard, and while laying the king on his lap, and with the king in disbelief, Narasimha then begins to kill him with his mighty claws. Narasimha violates none of the king's protections bestowed by Lord Brahma. Narasimha is neither human or animal, yet only part of each. He kills the king at dusk, neither day or night. The deed takes place on the threshold of the courtyard, neither indoors nor outdoors. And he lays the king on his lap, neither on the land, in the water, or in the air. And Narasimha kills the king with his very claws, neither by a handheld weapon or a projectile. And so died a tyrant, as tyrants often do, in disbelief, incredulous that the echo chamber of their own ideas and their own ego have failed them. A grievous and dire miscalculation, a miscalculation which ultimately proves fatal. Prahlada, the devotee of Lord Vishnu, then assumed the throne and served for many years as a good and righteous king.
In an effort to fulfill and further our mission, we ask that the members and friends bring forth their many and varied gifts. With this, we will now take the offering. You may also give using the Givelify app.
We accept this sacred offering generously given by our beloved members and friends. May we use it wisely and judiciously in service to our mission. The Hindu holiday of Holi begins on the full moon night of Phalanga, the 12th month in the Hindu calendar. And that Friday, and this Friday, is that Friday, the full moon night. The holy holiday lasts for an evening and a day. It's known as the Festival of Color, the Festival of Spring, the Festival of Love. And although it celebrates the end of winter and the promise of spring, more deeply, it celebrates the conquest of good over evil. The holy celebration begins on that first evening with a bonfire, commemorating the flaming consummation of the evil Holika, sister of King Hiranyakashipu, and the deliverance of the devoted Pralada from those very flames. Holi's name, the holiday, comes from Holika, whose name, like the name of tyrants and evildoers, lives on in infamy. On that evening, people of the bonfire, that evening, people pray that the potential evil within them, which is a potential in us all, will also be consumed in those flames. The next day is Ragwali Holi, the Festival of Colors. People wear white and they gather together and they bring with them packets of colored powder, eco-friendly colored powder. And once gathered, a melee, a free-for-all ensues, where they just throw colors on one another. They throw water balloons filled with colored liquid water on one another. They use squirt guns, squirting colored water, of course, on anyone. The caste system, it doesn't matter. They all mix together. It's no holds barred. My question for UUMAN is, why haven't we been doing this? We should be doing this. I mean, what's not to like about that? So maybe next year we could plan on that. I know Shelley threw that idea out a couple years ago, but then the last 2 years have ensued. But maybe next year, and then we have a feast after that. Although it's abnormally cold this morning, spring is in the air. We can feel it in our bones, and it won't be denied. Flowers will soon be blossoming. Azaleas will be bursting forth in color, and trees will be green once again. And although we may not truly celebrate Holi until perhaps next year, we will soon be showered and covered with color from the heavens in the form of a light green chartreuse-colored pollen. Yes, it's coming. May we learn to welcome that as heaven's holy gift to us, a reminder of good conquering evil and the promise of spring.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
A cynic might say, "Oh, most unfortunate human congregants, members, friends, visitors, you always have hope that good will conquer evil. But where is this hope and goodness? If it is everywhere, then why are not hope and goodness present before me in this world of suffering?" In the face of that, may we answer with courage and with confidence, hope and goodness were. Hope and goodness are. Hope and goodness will be. Go in peace. Enjoy your week.